I have a feel that when we gather together on Leil Shishi, I have a certain Kiddush feel when I feel my mishpacha week to week gathers Kiddush, and I started feeling it Leil Shishi with the Chevra here, and there's a very good feel to it. The sense all week by my family on Leil Shishi, on Shabbos Kodesh, so you sit at Kiddush, I have a sense we've all had like busy weeks and all different things have gone on. Then the mishpacha gathers. During the week there are times, at times it works out, we eat supper together, halavai, that works more often. But there's something about Friday night at Kiddush that all the soldiers are back around the table, each one from their own stations. Elementary, high school, Beis Medrash, doing their own things, each of us, our own busy weeks, our own travels, then like we gather around the Shabbos table and we're all here, and like the soldiers unite, and we're all about the same thing. We're all about the same thing, each of us being Mekadeshem Shemayim from our own stations and our own lives and our own ways. Then everybody gathers together at Kiddush. And I say at this Leil Shishi, it's come that the Chevra, that we sit together, friends, after a week, and we gather, and it's supposed to be Leil Shishi is the Aschol, is the Achanas for Shabbos Kodesh. I feel like we gather together after a week. It's just nice. It's refreshing. I want to share something that I was zeicha to this week. One of the Chevra from Durham has fought in the army for 4 years. And specifically, since Simchas Torah, has been fighting for Yidden. He mamish was in harm's way. He was called up. He went. He was not mandatory to go. And he went and was very involved. From the day after Simchas Torah, he literally was by the places saving families, kipshutai. He broke into rooms and confronted terrorist mamish, kipshuta. He was not, I sat with him a long time this week, and he was not in the zone of sharing stories. No, he told me things that I came out, that wasn't the zone he was in. He's processing. I was sharing, not a geschmacka like, heroic stories. No. I wanted to share with the Chevra that he was very plugged in. There's a ruach in the world now. He was getting, I'm not talking about why somebody went to the army. Everybody has different machshavos, but there are people plugged in. He was fighting for Yidden. He was fighting for Am Yisrael. He was fighting to save lives, kipshutai. He was plugged into that. He remains plugged into that energy. I'm part of a people, a beautiful people. There's a very powerful energy, Am Yisrael. I sat with a guy who daily, and he's still plugged into that. He's not telling stories. He didn't want to speak about his escapades. Zero. Like he's not interested. It's not where he is. He's plugged into Am Yisrael. We're a people. We're a nation. There's such a ruach, such a sense. We're part of a nation. We're part of a people. Esther Amalka gives up her life. She risks her life. She gives up her husband, risks her life for Am Yisrael. The very action puts you somewhere. Actions, Adam Nifal, Kfi Puleisav. A person becomes their action. The very action, I think it's something we could all tap into today. I'm not talking about we each have our own stands and places, what we do, but that we could tap into that's existing in the world, Am Yisrael. They're Yidden risking their lives and they're tapping into something. There's such a ruach in the world that you and I can tap into, a people. Am Yisrael, we're part of a nation, a beautiful people. From our own places, what that means to us, to be more caring to Yidden, to be more respectful, more encouraging, go out of our way more. I want to tell you an ernst thing that I had an Nisayan this week. And we related to other people, and I was able to be miskaber because of him. I tapped in Am Yisrael, and be bigger. I had a thing I could be small, and I have small worries, but we can tap into bigger stuff. Am Yisrael, it's a Yid. The person's a Yid. Let me be there for another Yid. We could tap into that. We're part of a people. There's a ruach of that right now. Am Yisrael. There's a ruach. if it's caused by the world dining up, the anti-Semitism, the sense there's like we're all weary. As the war goes on, the world's judging. Do they have a right? Stop now. The president's deciding. The ruach we could tap in is the sense we're part of a people, a precious, precious people. That's something we could tap in. I wanted to share it tonight with my friends. I'm going to share a Torah that will relate to this, that I think will relate to this. It's very much the ruach. So I want to share something. I have two thoughts on the parasha, but I want to share a little bit out of order, pasuk out of order. But I want to share it first with the Chevra because I'm thinking about that now. He told us when he spoke, I asked him to speak, intelligent person, I asked him to speak. He described when he showed up to help, when he came, he has a lot of expertise. He's very highly trained. He was in a very specialized unit. And his expertise is in explosives, diffusing explosives. He's an expert. But he described showing up the day after Simchas Torah. He said people brought what to the army is funny things. They brought funny stuff. He said a guy showed up in an ice cream truck. Said to the army, you come with uniform. He said people didn't have uniforms. It's a law of battle. You have to wear a uniform. It's illegal in the world to fight without a uniform. It's also not very smart because soldiers have to know who you are. So you have to wear, he said people were wearing caps, like security caps that said I'm Israeli. It wasn't army gear. Whatever reason, they weren't prepared. So people came with, he said, funny equipment that looked funny. He said one man drove up to the battlefront in an ice cream truck. And he said they covered Ames, they saved Yiddish bodies to Kfuras Yisrael. They filled the ice cream truck. Shem Yerachem. And he said to the guys, he said to us, that we all have unique things. I felt that bring what you have, we need you. Bring what you have, we need you. So you have an ice cream truck, but he didn't say water guns. He said to the battle, I don't know war. He said people came with pistols. It was weird. It wasn't the army stuff. Didn't matter. He said nobody left. Nobody. The guy came with an ice cream truck. Nobody. The guy, to us, it wouldn't be funny. I don't know war. He said people came with pistols. It was weird. It's not how the front is. Nobody laughed, he said. He said, Yidden came, they looked at each other, we were together, people just bringing what they had. And he said to the guys, in our own story as Am Yisrael, bring what you have. Bring your ice cream truck to service in Hashem. We need you. So I want to tell you a word in the parasha. It's he mamish is mechav in this week's parasha. Vayakal came this week. And the parasha, many mefarshim, the Archaim HaKadosh amongst them, but Rishonim and Achrayim asked the kasha. It describes Klal Yisrael bringing things to the Mishkan, to the point that it's one of my favorite psukim in the Torah. With such a tshuka for Kedusha, and we'll talk about this pasuk in a few minutes, but it's one of my favorite psukim in the Torah. You ask Klal Yisrael, we need donations for the Mishkan. You need to talk about the charity, these fundraisers. They need money for the Mishkan. Klal Yisrael's bringing everything. They're bringing ice cream trucks and more. So Moshe Rabbeinu makes an announcement. Vayaviru kol b'mach. They have loudspeakers. Chevra. Stop. Ish v'ish al yasu oid memlach l'shumas hakodesh. Rabbi say genug. We have enough. They're piling on stuff. People are Yidden's tshuka for Kedusha. Yidden are bringing whatever they got. To the point they aviru kol b'machna. They make an announcement. Chevra adkan. Vayikala amahavi. Okay, we're obedient people. You have to convince us to stop. Pasha, we make the bonus rounds, the bonus rounds. We're adding much more. They make enough announcements. We stop ringing. Says the pasuk, "V'amalacha ha'sadayam." The malacha, which the Ramban speaks out, is the donations. He says that's what it means. The malacha. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. The malacha was dayam. It was enough. L'chol ha'malacha, lasasayisa, for all the things that we needed. V'haiser, and it was extra. And the kashas dayam means it was the right amount. It was dayam, it was the right amount. And there was extra. And the Archaim HaKadosh was there extra? And I've just said there was extra. Why would the Torah say there was enough and extra? It's contradiction. There was enough means it was the right amount. There was extra means it was more. It was dayam v'haiser is a stira. The Archaim HaKadosh asks a stira. Enough and extra. Just say extra, and then everybody knows if there was extra, there's enough. There was dayam v'haiser is a stira. So everybody, the Archaim HaKadosh amongst anybody else who learns Chumash asks this kasha dayam v'haiser. It makes me think. We've all made parties. I'm a shtickler. I like making parties, throwing parties. How do you know if there was enough food, Maish, and you make a party? How do you know there's enough food? If there's leftovers. Right? Remember, if there's no leftovers, if somebody still says, there was enough food, look, it's exact. If there are no leftovers, there wasn't enough. The leftovers is Dr. Rai, it was enough. So I always think of that. When you make a party, there's a little left, like, shoo, okay, there was enough. If there's no food left at the end, you don't say that was probably enough. No, it's probably just made do. So maybe like the Haiser is Dr. Rai, it was dayam. But okay, but then still just say Haiser, say that it was dayam. You don't have to write it, but I see the Torah Akdaisha says it was enough and extra. It's Dr. Raya that it was enough because there was extra. But okay, it doesn't need that. There was extra, so there was enough. What's this enough and extra? But I do admit, Revavi, when you make a zach, if there's extras, a raya was enough. If Revavi serves beravchus, so it was a couple of, it's delicious kugel, kosher word kugel, but I always say two more pieces, a couple of pieces at the end, so it's enough. If it all be used up, we wouldn't necessarily know there was enough. So it's dayam, what was the raya's dayam? There was haiser. Okay, maybe. What's the pshat dayam v'haiser? Enough and extra. What is? It's a strange. Revarin the kash is a good the kash and pshat. Dayam v'haiser. Enough and extra. The Apter of the Oiv Yisrael. No, the other verse from the Oiv Yisrael. No. This is based on Archaim HaKadosh. The other word I'm going to say is from the Oiv Yisrael. This word is based on the Archaim HaKadosh. What I'm saying now is the Archaim HaKadosh. I'm adding, I don't want to... we asked that it says when Klal Yisrael gives donations to the Mishkan, there was enough and extra. Dayam v'haiser. It's a stira. Say there was extra. So enough means it was the right amount. Extra means it was extra. Dayam v'haiser was the right amount and extra was extra. It was too much. It's not a problem. So I was like saying when there is enough, when there's extra, you know it's enough. And you could tiny b'derech pshat, not joking, that when there's extra, that's when it's the right amount. Like there should be extra. It's the cover. There should be. I once told a guy was doing a certain job, and I said, "You're overqualified. You're overqualified for the job." And he said, "Anybody who does something should be overqualified." I always say about a Rebbe, you should know much more about the sugya than you teach. A good Rebbe is somebody who's like just gives everything he knows. That's not a Rebbe. You should know much more about the topic, and you give over, because then you're mamish giving over what you're supposed to. Any successful guy, Rabbi Yechiel could be a Rosh Hashiva. He's teaching youngsters. He's overqualified. That's the one you want to do it. There's a certain purpose. There's a certain exactness. So the Haiser is Dayam v'Haiser is, if it would be exact, it would be a Chil Hashem. You think of us donating, and we got it right. There should be Ravchus. It should be a tremendous Ravchus, and from that we picked out. So it was Dayam v'Haiser. Kilu wouldn't be Dayam if there wasn't leftovers. There would be a shtiga for Beis Hamikdash. It should be a tremendous ashirus. It should be a huge selection. Maybe such a pshat yet. But
I think if you're overqualified, if someone thinks they're overqualified and they become lazy, then they're not growing. So it's that approach. If you think you're just who you need to be, ready to learn. Same with the enough. If you think there's enough of something, there's exactly enough that you kind of needs. No one's gonna get it. Right? So you always want
interesting.
Two different.
Interesting. Very interesting. I want to say it. I love what you say. The Torah is talking to us, and we're supposed to have these thoughts. By the way, Hashem says this. Along the way, whenever Hashem says the truth, your whole understand the truth. Hashem's talking to us, very unique language, enough and extra. So Yitz is thought, intelligent. The Or Chaim HaKadosh says Yitz, there was a nace. He says there was a miracle. Klal Yisrael gave extra, and yet when they put it all in, it went in exact. Klal Yisrael gave much more. So what does it mean, Dayam? It means it all ended up being part of the Mishkan. And it just worked with the right midas. They put it together and it ended up a nace. They gave Heiser, but every single thing was necessary. That's Dayam Vaysa Nes, Pella. We gave much more, and somehow when they molded together the gold, the silver, and Alazachin, it was Dayam. So that's Dayam Vayser. We gave more, but it was Dayam. The nace was Dayam, we gave Heiser. You ever heard this shot, Shems? Nifla.
It's the other way around. Heiser.
Shemi says it should come out that it was Heiser. It should come out Heiser. Dayam. Dayam means when they put the Heiser is what happened. I hear the kasha. I like what Shemi's asking. Stark. It says Dayam v'Heiser should be Heiser v'Dayam. They gave more and v'Dayam and it was enough. But he says what happened. Dayam v'Heiser. I hear the kasha. That's the kasha.
There's got to be a niece anyway. Why didn't they let all the Jews get involved? Because Hashem's going to anyway like crunch it down to the right amount. So why they ever tell them to stop? They should just let everyone get involved. It sounds like Hashem wanted.
The stop is the Kiddush Shamayim. Avada, the stopping is the Kiddush Shamayim that you have to stop us from giving. That's Bedafka. It could have worked out different. That's Avada. Because otherwise I wouldn't have my favorite pasuk in the world. The stopping is wonderful. However you manage it. This you have to hear that you had to hold back Yidden from giving. That's the most important thing ever that happened to us. that got to stop us from giving. But Dayam V'Haisa, I want to think about Shemi's Kasha. I don't know why it said that that order. What's pshat in this miracle, Rabbi say? We gave extra. Miracles are for a tafkid, Hashem stam. The lesson, the Chedushei Arim speaks this out, that the lesson of the miracle, that they gave extra and everything was necessary, is that every year's contribution is necessary. That's avada, the purpose. Nobody should feel you gave something and it wasn't used. He speaks out that they were told to stop. Like, what's the big deal? Let them give, especially knowing the nace. So he says that Yamaktin in the nace, the Chedushei Arim speaks this out, and it shouldn't be that a guy gave something and it looks like it wasn't necessary. Stop! What's the big deal? Let people give. It's such a beautiful zach. The nace, ain't Simcha al nace. But it shouldn't be somebody gave. He says, the Chedushei Arim, that was the purpose that stopped giving. It shouldn't be a Yid should see his thing as extra. Every Yid's necessary and everything's contributed. And if you look, so Hashem made a nace. Avada, the ikr of the Mishkan was the machshavos. The ikr was the kedusha that came in the Mishkan because of every Yid's thing contributed and add. It should physically reflect that. It's so cool when the physical reflects that spiritual truth. It's a cool zach when the physical. My son, after his team lost in the playoff, was crying. So I went up to him, and my son told me that it's so frustrating. The team helped guys in a spiritual sense. That guy's from her today. So it's so bothersome. He said, I hate losing, but it bothers me that we should be dancing on the court. The physical should match the spiritual. The truth of growth, of people growing and developing, it's a shame. But it's in the Mikdash is the place that the physical and spiritual meet. In the Mikdash. So in the Mikdash, the expression that everybody gave and that just like was used is the spiritual truth that everybody's machshavos and everybody's gifts count. This exact lesson of this bacher, this beautiful bacher, who spoke in yeshiva and said, bring your ice cream truck. He said, bring what you have, we need it. What you have is needed. He described the guy coming and bringing neshamas, bringing Yiddish neshamas to Kfuras Yisrael because of a guy's ice cream truck. He said people could have laughed when he showed up and it was needed. And that's the lesson of the nace, of this beautiful nace, that everybody's thing was put in there and it all was necessary. So it was heiser, but when they put it in there, everything was used. It's because of a truth that each of us, what we bring, how we bring it, it's necessary here. It has a place. It has a necessity. It has a value. It brings value. Bring your thing. Bring your thing to the matzav. Over the years, I've been zeicha to say shiurim, the best shiurim ever. It doesn't always happen. This is like the dream. We just now had a discussion. Yitz jumped in. People jumped. The best shiurim when people like contribute, and like a lot of people, this one, and then like a whole like world opens up. Because it's a spiritual truth, and that's like a tremendous chus. Each person brings their contribution, their ha'ara, their observation, their history, and like something wide and broad opens up. It's the best thing in the world. It's the truth. That each person's contribution, each person's journey, each person, it adds and is necessary and important. So that was the first thing I wanted to share with the Chevra, this amazing. I asked you, teach your families about this amazing nes. Enough and action. And we'll have to answer Shimi's kasha. I don't know, like, I'm talking, I don't want to like lose folk, I want to like zone into his kasha start. It says enough and extra. It was extra and enough. The order that the Chaim's nes was extra and enough. I didn't look at the Chaim this year. I saw it a number of years ago. Could be I didn't even see it last year, maybe 2 years ago. So I have to look back to Rabbi Kalish. I believe I'm remembering right that he says this nes, the Chlusha Rim for sure speaks it out, that I saw this year. But I quoted Ar Chaim, that was the first place I saw this. He has a few terutzim. Somebody saw it this year. He says this. I like Shimi's kasha. Is that what?
Is Ar Chaim telling you the Pshutei Shel Mikra, or is this in other words, in the Pshat, it would make sense, it would make far less sense to say what Shimon is suggesting. Has no Pshat. Or is Ar Chaim saying the Pshutei?
I hear what you're asking, but even the drash always works out that even the drash, I know what you're saying, for pshat it has to say daim oiser, but even the drash doesn't like, it's not inconvenienced by pshat. So even in the world, Hashem like works it all out. So even the drash, there's something deep to that it says dayam v'haiser. It says it was the right amount. My suspicion, Shimi, is because the Iker is the spiritual world. In that world, it wouldn't even be called Haiser. So it was Dayam. If I can mention, it was Haiser. That's my suspicion. Shimi's kasha makes me... I'm answering to Shimi. In the physical world, it was Haiser. In the MS of each person, it was Dayam, was the exact amount. The Nes wasn't in the spiritual world. Each person, the Mishkan's not the physical, what we gave. It's built on the beauty of every Yid. It was Dayam, every Yid. I want to mention, it was Haiser in the physical world. It wasn't the right amount. But it said Dayam first because that's the MS. The MS, it was Dayam. We're looking at it as Amad and the Nes. It say Haiser and then a Nes happened. No, Dayam wasn't the nes. It's not, in the spiritual world, there was no nes. Everybody matters. That's the biggest truth. It was Dayam. That's what I suspect. If it said Haiser and Dayam, like God made a miracle. No, it was Dayam. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you about something. So Dayam is the spiritual truth that everybody counts and everybody's donation creates a Mishkan. Creates a place of Asheras. That's what I'm like feeling. There's probably a big MS to this. So we're coming like from a very physical place. In a very physical place, say there was extra and Hashem made an ace. That's not an ace. Every year's necessary is Dayam. Every year brought. Now, if you want to know how it played out in the physical world, Haiser. Now go figure it out. There was an ace. You know what I'm saying? It's probably the pshat. Like Drash, Hashem's talking. Hashem like gets it, nails it exact. So this point is so moving. It's so true. It's not if it's a cute vart and we don't gather together for cute vart, and it's a good thing, cute vart. That's not what Har Chaver. I want to share what somebody lived. A guy looked me in the face. He was emotional. It was to describe that I think. My passing day, I think I will remember that ice cream truck. It was something that he was at that place. He looked at guys. I saw him in yeshiva. Saw him talk to people. Like he had a certain respect for every Yid. He was plugged into something. There was a guy who was like nudging him on things he doesn't want to talk about. He was like being so patient. He's like very plugged in, like every Yid. Like, yeah, and you might be beginner's ice cream truck. Fine, give your ice cream truck. Beseder. Whatever you bring, just bring it. It's Dayam, it's enough. You found Ar Chaim HaKadosh? You're so nice. How do you find it so fast? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He asked the kasha, him based varm hafachiyim. If there's dai, it's not hoiser. If there's hoiser, it's not dai. He's a pella. He says, Ulai, tzchibas b'nei Yisrael b'nei amakim. Klal Yisrael brought extra. Chash Hashem l'kovet kol ish et torchai, ve'viu v'nichnas kol amuva beis Hashem. His speaker likanes kol malacha shasu b'nei Yisrael, hagam shahaiser. It was yaisem me'atzarech, but it's still al yedei nes, he says. His spikam kabel l'kabel yaisem shir al yedei nes. That's the Chaim HaKadish's miracle. Thank you for finding that. Amazing, Har Chaim. Okay. Now we saw it this year. We should put our eyes on the words. He's right. So I wanted to share something else. That was the first thing I wanted to share with the Chevra. Really, we should stop there. We should sing songs about Klal Yisrael already. But I want to share one more zach. Then we'll be mispalel together. We have such a zach at the Taka sing about our people. The Ramban already asks Sakasha. The Ramban asks, Vayomer al Moshe. They said to Moshe, Marb Maham love me, they avoida. L'malach, they're bringing too much. They're bringing too much. Vayitzav Moshe Rabbeinu commands, he brings a kol b'machna lemer, ish v'isha al yasu oid malacha. Stop doing work l'tshuma sakodesh. Ask the Ramban, what do you mean stop doing work? It's not about doing work. They were giving donations. It's very confusing, Yitzhak. They were bringing donations. And they announced, Ish v'ish al yasu oid melacha l'tshumas HaKodesh. Stop doing work. The problem wasn't work. The problem was the donations. So the Ramban asks the Kash already. The Ramban on the spot. The Ramban asks and speaks. The Ramban speaks. You can see the Ramban that Malacha refers to the donations. It says Al Yasu Oid Malacha L'Trumas HaKodesh. The pasuk so hard to read. They're giving too much, and Moshe Rabbeinu says stop doing work. What the Abdu Rabbah, the Oyev Yisrael says, is that as they were doing malacha for the Mishkan, it was inspiring people. The Abdu Rav says that as they were doing work, it was so inspirational, people would give more. It was causing ashpa. It was bringing, the Abdu Rav is saying, not that they saw it and they were so inspired. It brings a ruach to the world. They're performing and a yid somewhere decides to give. I was saying, Yaakov, I was telling them about AJ Seidi. I was saying that in the world, there are people being Ma'aseh Nefesh for Yidden. There's a ruach in the world. And I said, I think that it's easier to tap in anywhere in the world because the Yidden out there are giving up their lives for other Yidden. There's a ruach in the world. I think it's emes. There's a truth to this. Somebody could bring a certain ruach. I think today it's easier. I had a Maisa this week that I passed in a Sayin. I think in the world, there's such a koyach in the world right now to care more about Yidden. Because there are people bringing such a ruach. The Abdu Rav says that in the Mishkan, when they were clapping, was making a Yid who didn't see it. He's not saying he was inspired. Since a Yid was so dedicated, another Yid all of a sudden wanted to give. That's the Abdu Rav says. These are real kaiches. It's pashut like that. So Moshe wanted Yidden to stop giving. So he said, Chevra, stop working. He told them to stop working. Your work is making ashpais. Amazing Abdu Rav. You hear this yet? So he said that to get people to stop giving, he said, Moshe said, Chevra, stop working a little bit. You pasha doing such tzedkah, some year there, like all of a sudden, nifla. It's the Abda Rav said, nifla. The power of hashpah, the power. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter famously told his Talmidim, mamish this in his own nusach. He told them about what they do here and some yet elsewhere it starts keeping, it's pashut like that. You bring a certain ruach of kedusha to the world. It's pashut like that. That a person with ernstkeit has to be sincere. With sincerity, you bring a kedusha to the world. It's pashut, it's dvarim shutim like that. And you bring something to the world that exists in the world, such a ruach. Somebody with sincerity plugs into service of Hashem. Somebody way far away. The Abda Rav says literally that he wasn't trying. There's a tzaddik who understood. Wasn't being gishmak. He was a big Talmud Chacham, and he saw in a pasuk that they wanted donations to stop being given. Get a yid to stop. So Moshe Rabbeinu went to the Chevra who was serving so sincerely. He said, your sincerity is making Yidden empty their pockets. Not because they see you when they're inspired. You're bringing a certain ruach to them. For a little bit, stop. They stop. We can get people to stop giving. Nifla.
Why did they want to stop? What was the reason that they should stop giving?
They had enough donations already. The Chedusha Rim says that we were speaking out before that they didn't want extras. Nobody should feel what they gave isn't needed. Hashem was making an ace, the Archaim HaKadosh, but we didn't, whatever reason, that's clear, we didn't want extras.
Could I say, could you see that there's time for giving? Like now we're accepting, okay, up to this time?
It's a good question. I like Maisha's cash is right. Maisha, I want to say this. You're asking something that's like huge. It's the strangest pasuk. Like, we have a big problem. Did the Yeshiva Ketana ever come out? Chevra, everybody's giving too much money. Please stop. Did you ever see an advertisement like that? There's a mud in the mice asking a big kasha. It's real. I don't know the answer to your kasha, Maish. We offered a suggestion from the Chedusha Rim. I want to say, Maish, it's a very good kasha. Fascinating pasuk. Stop! Like, okay, like that. This doesn't look like the biggest community problem. They were going around the cold. So we set up shop in the Chedusha Rim. But Maish, I like your kasha. That kasha is fest. Tremendous kasha.
You're going to set dimensions for that they only knew exactly.
So it says extra, so if it breaks once, we'll have stuff in. We've heard of bigger problems in the world. But it's a good kasha, Shem. Maybe we don't want, it's a good kasha. But they said, Al Yasu Malacha, don't do any more Malacha. What's that? You need people to stop, and Maish is right, we need a pshat. Why? The eight says people should stop doing Malacha. The Abda Rav said that he said, stop serving the sincerity. Wait a little bit. You're creating a ruach in the Welt. Nifla. You ever heard this Abda Rav, Shimi? Nifla. And a truth, a spiritual truth. He saw it in these psukim. So they said, stop serving for a few minutes. They stopped, and you okay, then you tell Yidden, stop giving like it, okay? That amazing, right, Russ? So I want to tap in, Chevra. There's a ruach in the Welt of people caring about Yidden. Let's tap in. Let's Yidden, precious Yidden. Rav Avi Yeshia Samecha. Thank you. Uvarech as nachlasecha. Oh, yurei, murei, 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 benase, rei benase, madoi. Thank you so much. Thank you for finding it. Shiyo esamecha. Uvarech as nachlasecha. Oh, yurei, murei, 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 benase. Benase Madawa, oh yo, Shio Esamecha, Uvarech as Naglasecha, oh Yurei, Murei, 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 Benase, Benase I don't know well. AJC.
At least that's someone else told me.
Is this Maish? Maish, what's your name? I'm darshaning about a guy. We have a bacher right here. I didn't know. I'm darshaning about. Thank you, Levi. Levi came back. He was from a person. I'm darshaning exists in the Welt that's in front of my nose. This hashkachas Hashem, amazing to hear. Levi was one of these Yidden. He was plugged in, being there for Yidden. He was sad in Gaza, helping Yidden. Then we're dancing. Now we're dancing.